It occurred to me after I'd already put this up for vote that The Dark Knight is a Batman movie. That probably sounds as stupid to you hearing it as I feel saying it, but I was honestly thinking about how this is a Christopher Nolan film about a non-standard protagonist. This title character fights for every inch against his arch-nemesis over closely held ideas about justice and the way societies are supposed to run. I get a lot of flack on the show when I put up films as popular as The Dark Knight because there's always something in the comments lecturing everyone else on what they should vote for because there's nothing else that could possibly be said about The Dark Knight. Interesting, because on the one hand, I think I've earned at least a scant modicum of respect insofar that you can trust that I won't put a movie up for vote that I don't have something new and hopefully insightful to say about. Regardless of its size and popularity, see The Force Awakens, Fury Road, and Iron Giant, nah, f*** the victory lap. Because on the other hand, this whole time I haven't even been talking about Batman, and in typical Mawoom high fashion, the title character and central plot moving protagonist of The Dark Knight I've been talking about is the Joker. Oh shit! The Dark Knight is a 2008 film from Christopher Nolan, or as me and all of his closest and despondently alarmed friends are wont to call him, Tofno, hashtag Tofno. It was written by Jonathan Christopher Nolan. Much of Jonathan's influence can be seen mirrored in his new show with J.J. Abrams, HBO's Westworld. Do you guys just watch my show and then try to find out who the cool people are and then team up together? Or there's an additional story credit to David Goyer, who's received similar credit on Batman, lowercase v, no period, Superman, Dawn of Justice, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, and Kickboxer 2 The Road Back. No. The film begins with our title character embarking on his vigilante crime spree in a method so devious and clever that he simultaneously, 1. funds his entire operation that basically takes place over the course of the film, 2. manages to fool the criminals that he used in the heist into exterminating each other, leaving only the fresh scent of pine, and 3. steps onto the main stage and basically advertises that he is someone that all criminals should avoid, because he's really bad for your business in about 1,000 ways. But let's talk about our villains.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
You know what's funny here? We're watching the exact moment that corporate money enters the politics of Gotham City, and the implication is being good at your job, which Harvey Dent is exceptionally good at, isn't enough to earn you a re-election. And we meet our actual hero again at some numerous criminal's moment of greatest weakness as he walks directly into the lion's den, like it ain't no thing. Ta-da! Gotham's elite criminal underworld just had their shitty, corrupt foreign banks steal all of their money, so Mr. J goes in exactly when they are most malleable and bendable because they'll do whatever he wants. A decision that ultimately ruins all of them through death, incarceration, and bankruptcy. I mean, Mr. J does what Batman could not in any way attempt, and that was to disassemble a criminal organization from the inside in a matter of weeks. Wait, what is Anthony Michael Hall doing in this movie?
But did you know?
Chris Nolan basically let Heath do whatever he wanted for the tapes he releases of his victims to the press. That's part of why they feel so desolate and intimate, because they were. There's this exchange in the first one release as Mr. J torments a Batman wannabe who, in a fit of misguided and unenforceable bravery, spits this naive colloquialism.
He's a symbol that we don't have to be afraid of scum like you.
To which the Joker responds,
Yeah, you do, Brian. You really do.
See, Joker is a realist, a mentally collapsed fatalist who believes that allowing corrupt governmental systems to marinate will ruin a society, and I can't exactly say he's wrong. Also, Batman punches the dog to death. Okay, time out. I'm sure some of you right now are waiting for me to drop the bit that the Joker is the good guy and the Batman is the bad guy, and I get it. Ha 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 ha, but I wasn't joking. Batman punches the dog to death. Pull Batman's whiny metal ass out of the picture for a moment and look at the story entirely from Mr. J's perspective. Let's see. His targets include a bank full of criminals' money. He uses other warped criminals to rob and dispose of said criminals before he makes off with the cash. He walks right into a meeting of people that he just robbed to explain that he's going to steal half of their remaining money in exchange for doing something he has no intention of doing ever.
Then why do you want to kill me? I don't want to kill you.
He interrupts a party of wealthy Gotham elite that represent the corruption that both Bruce and Harvey seem to have no trouble schmoozing with.
Rachel talks about you all the time. You've known her whole life.
Oh, not yet.
Whoa, spoilers, dude. I mean, you could make a case that the Joker is just a misguided anti-establishment wackadoo with impeccable taste in textiles, but I can make a similar case that whenever Bruce drops the fake-ass pretty boy shit, he's just a dude that attempts to steal the girlfriend of the man he's literally in the middle of throwing a fucking fundraiser for, which is a pretty garbage move, because Batman's a dumb dick. I mean, how fucking corrupt are the cops in this city? The Joker makes a threat on 3 of the most affluent city officials' lives, and they just put one of them in her car alone that they haven't checked, and oh, I guess that went pretty bad for her, didn't it? But you can also postulate that the existing commissioner was a corrupt SOB, because the movie already showed us this, and the dude underappreciates threats and generally acts like a cowboy. We don't really know much about the judge, but I would like to point out that Mr. J infiltrates the party looking for Rachel and Harvey, and it feels more like he's feeling them out for corruption than anything else. I mean, why not just blow them up and poison them like the other two? Why take such a risk and then not follow through on the job? I mean, come at the king, best not miss. And this dude don't miss. And you might be saying to yourself, yeah, but he threw Rachel off the roof, and salient point, friend. But this one's also a little tropey because, hello, it's Batman. Throwing people from high places to distract Batman for long enough to get away is kind of a staple of every Batman villain, and the people never actually fall to their death because he ain't Spider-Man. Boom! Got him! And I mean, Rachel's totally cool as a cucumber because even she knew that Bruce would catch her.
Let's not do that again.
Though he does kill her later, so call it a draw. You know what else Batman does in this film? Takes away personal freedom.
Beautiful.
Which he hides from everyone closest to him from finding out because he knows they would stop him, no matter the cost, or quit, like Lucius. I mean, he turns every cell phone in the city into a spy device so that he can act as judge, Judy, and executioner on anyone he deems a threat, by invading innocent people's lives and privacy without their consent or knowledge. Batman punches a f***ing dog! I'm simply trying to make a case that this water is a lot muddier than I think a lot of people give this movie credit for. I admit the Joker's methods are barbaric, and did he just throw Eric Roberts off a building? Yep. Harvey's and Batman's methods are arguably worse, but more importantly, a hell of a lot less effective. And I think that's important because if the Joker was trying to test out whether Harvey was corrupt or not, he has completely failed by this point.
Letting Harvey take the fall for this is not heroic at all.
I'm starting to sense a theme here. Like, Rachel lays out a laundry list of reasons Bruce and Harvey's plan is pure adrenalized garbage, and he's just like, whatever. And that plan goes so to shit that Batman's car is destroyed and he has to waddle around on this little bicycle. He's in such dire hot pursuit to catch up that he's blowing up cars in a parking lot to get through it faster. And I have no doubt in my mind that Bruce will go back and pay for all of those cars. But my brain did wonder, what if there were people in those cars? Like, what if the movie made us pay special attention to the fact that there's just 2 young boys chilling in a car like 20 feet away? Doesn't that seem to imply that blowing up cars completely at random in the name of justice is just not the type of justice that normal human people persons want? Especially a brand of justice as ineffective as Batman's. Oh shit, got him! Just keep shooting and driving through malls. You're firing into and blowing up walls and doors and children and Rachel, and look. I'm not trying to tear this movie down at all. I'm having a little fun. I think it's the greatest comic book movie ever made, and it offers us no simple answers or easy outs. Everything in this film exists in a lot more than just 50 Shades of Grey. It's like 150 more Shades of Grey. Today's good guy might be tomorrow's villain. The film goes out of its way to illustrate from everyone's perspective that Harvey is the white knight that Gotham needs. And it becomes the film's ultimate villain, not the Joker. Hell, the Joker's final plan doesn't even work, and one has to wonder if that was entirely the point. Instead of proving that humans are ultimately awful, maybe he was actually proving that they're ultimately good in a way that neither Bruce nor Harvey ever could. You see, a leader can unite a side in a conflict, but a villain can unite a people. This ideal is so important that Mr. J is shown willing to die for this ideal multiple times. And if you're paying attention, always in an effort to expose corruption from sources that would do the most damage to the city. Joke's on joke, boy, though, because Batman was hella corrupted before this movie even started. Just because he and pre-Two-Face Harvey Dent don't kill doesn't mean that they aren't employing vigilante tactics that violate, and I'm not kidding, Convention 1, Convention 3, Convention 4, and Protocol 2 of the Geneva Convention, and all of the Miranda rights as cases, they maintain not the right to remain silent and refuse to answer questions, the right to legal counsel. And oddly, anything a criminal does say to Batman is not actually admissible in a court of law because the Miranda rights were not read every time he's screaming, "Where is it?" in someone's face. Oh, I dug myself quite a hole in this one. I think I destroyed Batman. Whoops. But so before I jump on my main point here, I think this film is incredible. The IMAX action sequences have not really been challenged to this day, including by that of the film's seemingly lackluster sequel, though Inception got really close. I just want to take a moment to again appreciate the craftsmanship, love, and care that #Tofno imbues his cinematic worlds with. This film is astonishing. I mean, it's objectively better than Batman v Supes by every measurable metric, but I think Christopher Nolan spent a career teaching people the lessons they should be employing in every major Hollywood blockbuster, but maybe we're just a snooty-ass, ignorant species that fails to learn the lessons even when they're on the table right there in front of us. So Hollywood, allow me to spell this out as cleanly as possible. If you don't believe in your characters, we won't either. Because on the other hand, we'll be talking about the Joker for the next 100 years. Because I honestly don't think a character on that level will be replicated, probably, in our lifetime. We're talking about it because there's still things to talk about. Batman v Superman's version of Lex Luthor? Not so much.
And here we go.
And I can't think of a single thing to hinge this episode on other than Heath Ledger as the Joker. Hell, I can boil my ethos about the tragedy of this film into one scene, and it just so happens to be Christopher Nolan's favorite scene. He loves prattling waywardly about it, and I'm guessing you already know which scene I'm talking about. The interrogation scene. And there's plenty of reasons to love this scene, not least of which is me pointing out yet again that the person obeying the law is Mr. J and Batman is the one breaking it. Again. But let's actually set that aside. Let's set everything aside. This is going to be a downer of an ending, so I guess what else is new? Christian Bale has said in multiple interviews that Heath told him straight, "Hit me for real." And he did. And you see it in the reactions. There's a pause every time where the actors sort of check to make sure they didn't just cross the line, and then the scene continues. Heath Ledger earned his Oscar in this scene. And just so this is abundantly clear, it was the only main category Academy Award ever given to a comic book film. And there's a strikingly simple reason why. What I'm about to say is my opinion. I don't care if you don't agree with it. Heath Ledger's performance in this film is the greatest performance in cinema history. This is number one, and everything else is behind it. Sorry, O'Toole, Brando, Streep, Pacino, Davis, Cagney, Hoffman, Stewart, Wilder, De Niro, Day-Lewis, Hepburn, Nicholson. Actually, hang on a second. F*** you. Jack Nicholson is a great actor, but throw this man in a river. You two may have played the same character, but to even pretend you're part of the same conversation is laughable at best and delusional at actually. But to talk shit about someone who just tragically died giving every piece of themselves to a role and then be like, I warned him. No, that, you egomaniacal spurting fountain of broken asshole. I'm not doing The Departed. It's off the table for good, and that's real. I can't. I don't want to look at this guy. But I'll probably write the review anyway and just mail it to John Reisinger in his manic pixie dreamboat eyes with a recording of me saying it. And while we're on the subject, f*** you too, Jared Leto. Outside of the fact that Jared Leto's performance of the Joker was the least interesting, shittiest thing about the least interesting, shittiest movie of 2016, let's take a moment to meditate on the fact that sending your own condoms and anal beads to your castmates isn't clever or useful to building a performance for a character like this. You ego-inflated dump truck of human misery. Nothing method about that. Oh, I'm fired up now. When I think about Heath's performance here, there's one word that stands above all others, and it is something that is deceptively simple to miss. Precision. Everyone thinks they can do an impression of this character. Hell, we've all been to a party where some motley nerd busts out their best, "Do you want to know how I got these scars?" But we're all missing what has been right there in front of our faces the whole time. The Joker never mispronounces, slurs, or swallows a word in the entire film. That probably sounds like less of a big deal than it is, but trust me, that's a big deal. There's so many things going on in this performance, it's actually kind of scary. Like, you know how he licks his lips all the time? Because the way he chooses to pronounce words is very important. Don't you think? He had to keep his lips really wet because you can't talk like that for long and still manage to hit your enunciations that hard. And Heath just absorbed that aspect and turned it into something creepy as hell. By the way, you're not going to be able to unsee the lip thing now. And the dude never broke character in a shot. Remember this shot? I mean, of course you do because it practically defines the film, but did you know that this actually was a botched take? The second set of explosions didn't go off, and Heath, brave-ass motherfucker that he was, stayed in character, ad-libbed this glory, and went on about his business. It's the greatest cinematic performance of all time, and I'm really asking, my dudes, what's better? And he's playing against a stacked deck because this is a comic book movie with a character that tons of people have played and that tons of people will play, and it still manages to cast a longer shadow. Rest in peace, Heath. Thanks for checking out yet another episode of my show. Sorry for making you cry, because we're not going to pretend that we're not right now, because I sure as shit was. God, it sucks. There isn't any voting this time around, though I can tell you that per the results of the last voting, the next episode of Movies with Mikey is the second best exotic marigold hotel. No, that's wrong. Sorry. The next episode of Movies with Mikey is the Grand Budapest Hotel. Please like this video, subscribe, and share it with all your friends. I love making the show, and I can continue to love making it if we continue to grow this channel. To do that, we need your help. Like, for example, why do you not have 1 million subs? It's not a helpful comment so much as a dagger to my sternum, but if you want to help, spread the word about my show. Also, follow me on Twitter because I tweet about what's going on with the show and how I put it together like an obnoxious amount. Keep your heads high, friends. See you next time.